YouTube, and welcome to Travel Adventures with Eric B. I'm Eric B, and today we're going to talk about the things that you should know before you come to Iceland. Let's go. The very first thing you should know before you come to Iceland is you should know what the weather is like. And when I talk about the weather in Iceland, you should know that it gets very wet and windy all year round in Iceland. If you come during the summertime, it's not warm. Even though it's not going to be freezing cold, you can expect it to be about 40 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit, but expect it to be very windy. And expect sunlight to be out 18 to 21 hours a day, which means you're not going to see the northern lights during the summertime. Expect it to be cloudy as well. But if you come and you really want to see the northern lights, you need to come during the winter. But keep in mind, if you come to Iceland during the winter, remember the roads can be shut down because it can be brutally cold during the winter. A lot of roads are inaccessible. You can't do a lot of the tours you may want to do, but year round you want to wear layers, you want to wear weatherproof clothes. The second thing you should know before you come to Iceland is you should know to buy your alcohol at duty-free at Keflavik Airport. Alcohol is very expensive in Iceland, and it can be hard to find. The only place in the entire country you can go to is the government-run stores called Vinbuten if you want hard liquor or you want heavier beer. Grocery stores, you can buy beer, but there's generally going to be very small volumes of alcohol. And by the way, the drinking age is 20 years old in Iceland, but you definitely need to understand that if you want to drink and you want to do it at a reasonable price in Iceland, when you get out of the airports, you pick your bags up, you need to go to duty free. Duty free has pretty excellent prices, pretty similar to what you would get in the US, and the duty free is right by your baggage, so it's really convenient. So if you screw up and you don't go to duty free, expect to spend a lot more money on liquor. So definitely go to duty free. The third thing you should know before you come to Iceland is you should know about getting a transfer from Keflavik Airport. Remember, Keflavik Airport is a little bit outside of Reykjavik. Even though your ticket's going to say Reykjavik, you're probably about 45 minutes from the city center in Keflavik. And there are several ways to get to the city center. You can take a transfer bus to the Blue Lagoon, of course. You can also take a transfer bus to the Reykjavik city center. You can order your tickets online to do these transfer buses, or you can get them in the airport, and you can go with Reykjavik Sightseeing. You can go airport direct, or you can also go Gray Line. And with these tours, you can actually go do an excursion straight from the airport as well if you choose to do that. But there's many different spots you can go to straight from the airport in Keflavik. So make sure you get your transfers either lined up ahead of time, which is what I recommend, or you can get your transfers lined up at the airport. But I recommend get your transfers lined up ahead of time, so when you get to the airport, you can transfer out of Keflavik as soon as possible, because there's not a lot of accommodation near the airport. So chances are you're going to be leaving the airport or you're going to be going somewhere else in the country. So the fourth thing you should know about Iceland is that Iceland is a nature lover's paradise. Now, if you're not a nature lover, you may not appreciate Iceland as much. Iceland is a nature lover's paradise and a nature photographer's paradise. Now, me personally, I'm a big city, bright lights type person, but I also love being out in nature. Some people are big city people, but they don't love being out in nature. So you may not get the full appreciation of Iceland if you don't appreciate nature and the beautiful landscape that Iceland has to offer. Getting out in the cold and getting wet in Iceland is not exactly for everyone. So I don't recommend Iceland for everyone, because some people, you know, they don't like to get wet, they don't like to get cold, they're not into seeing all of the nature, and the animals outnumber the people so much. So it's not a vacation for everyone that's going to truly appreciate it. But I promise you this, it's the most beautiful place you will ever go to. The fifth thing you should know before you come to Iceland is that Reykjavik is underrated. Yes, there's the beautiful Harper Concert Hall. You could also see the beautiful sculpture, the Sun Voyager. You can also see the beautiful holograms church. Reykjavik is just loaded with fun things to do. Now, some people, when they plan their trip to Iceland, they think about nature, they think about hiking, the active volcano, the beautiful waterfalls, the glaciers, the icebergs, the fjords. They think about everything but a city. And Reykjavik is an outstanding European capital city. The city is very charming, and it offers, you know, the quaint feel of a small town, but at the same time offers great food, great entertainment, one of the best nightlives in all of Europe. And it's a fun place just to go to and hang out, partying and whatnot. It is one of the partying capitals of Europe, but if you're not just here to party, you can just go around and enjoy the city, enjoy the art. It's in particular the ground art and the street art everywhere, like the murals on all of the buildings. Like, this is just a fantastic place to go hang out at. Other than you see the beautiful church right there, the holograms church, which is one of the symbols of the town. But there's so many cool things to do in Reykjavik. Tons and tons of things to do. The sixth thing you should know before you come to Iceland is that you will eat well. Now, everyone talks about the fermented shark and the traditional Icelandic food, such as sheep's head right there, which doesn't look very appealing. And I didn't try that, by the way. But they're outstanding dishes, such as the hot dog stand that you'll see people lined up, the hot dogs with the remoulade sauce on it, which is a very popular thing here in Iceland. You need to try that out. But salmon is also fantastic. I had a great salmon meal in Iceland. Fish and chips, burgers, so many good things. Gotta have the skyr. The skyr is sort of like a yogurt, but not really yogurt, but it's a really good thing to have. I honestly went to Iceland and wondered if I was gonna like the food, because, you know, you hear about all the traditional foods and there's whale and puffin on certain menus, things like that that you don't really want to try. But I mean, the pastries here are fantastic. I mean, there's so much of a fusion culture here. Iceland, so many people from Iceland from all over the place. The ice cream is great here in Iceland. The gelato is great here in Iceland. So also, lamb is really big in Iceland. If you like lamb, lots of it. And the seventh thing you should know before you come to Iceland is that Iceland is expensive. Reykjavik was voted the most expensive city in the world. What I recommend in Iceland is, you know, go have some stuff off the lunch menu. Every now and again, you might want to splurge a little money and eat good, but for the most part, you know, go to the grocery stores, Bonus and Netto's and places like that. But, you know, $50.82 USD. So clothing and whatnot, really, really expensive. And also, to go along with the fact that everything's really expensive clothing-wise, you also need to understand clothing-wise that things are a little bit smaller in this country. You're not going to find a lot of XLs. You're definitely not going to find a lot of 2Xs. Really, really expensive or really, really small. Like, there's no 2X. There's barely, really no 1X. Highly recommend, for a culture experience and for price sake, to go to the grocery store and buy things. Go to Bonus, go to Netto, and, you know, and I have a video which is linked in my Iceland travel series that you'll be able to see with me in the grocery store. You'll see the prices aren't too bad in the grocery store, but when you go out for meals, when you go buy clothing, when you do these type of things, it becomes very, very expensive. So my tips to you is make sure you go to the grocery store. You'll save money. Make sure you go to duty free when you're buying alcohol. You'll save money. So you'll thank me later. Just make sure you follow those tips and you'll be just fine in a very, very expensive country of Iceland. It's actually pretty good. The eighth thing you should know before you come to Iceland is about driving. And the first thing you should know about driving in Iceland, it's like most of Europe. Most of the cars are going to be standards. And we drive automatics around, but not a whole lot of automatics in there. You're going to pay a lot more money to rent an automatic, or you'll take bus tours like I took. Unless you're going with multiple people, I recommend just go ahead and take the bus tours, because it'll get very expensive by yourself spending money on an automatic. The ninth thing you should know about Iceland is that the hot spas or the hot springs are a must. It's one thing that Iceland's definitely known for. You see the pictures right here, the Blue Lagoon, which is the famous hot spa that you must go to if you've never been to Iceland before, but it's certainly not the only option. You have other hot springs and hot spas all over the country. Sky Lagoon, Secret Lagoon, those are a couple of the ones in Reykjavik that you may have heard of before that are also very popular hot spas. Blue Lagoon, as I mentioned, is the biggest and most well-known. But there are thermal hot spas all over the country. There's hot springs everywhere. You could go to any little small town and find a hot spa where you can just go lay out and have a good time. If you're going to go do one of those little tours, or you're just hiking around, just secretly looking to find something. But there's all types of heated pools and hot thermal areas all over the country, places just waiting to be discovered. So that's one thing you can find all over the country. I strongly recommend you go hit one of the big tourist ones, though, if you've never been here before, though. Definitely hit up the Blue Lagoon or something like that. But yeah, they're all over the country, and you must go to one. You must do it. The 10th thing you should know before you come to Iceland is that the landscape, it's unreal. And when I say it's unreal, I mean the landscape is even more beautiful in person. I mean, it's hard to capture this in a video, through pictures, through photography, whatever you want to capture it through. The landscape of Iceland is otherworldly. The landscape, no matter how many times you see videos, no matter what you hear about the landscape, it is that beautiful, plus in person. It's one of those times where if you're someone who loves to travel and you're someone who has a deep appreciation for beautiful landscape, I promise you, Iceland is gonna wow you. It's gonna wow you no matter how many pictures you've seen of it. When you see it in person, it's gonna wow you. It is the most unbelievable landscape you're gonna find anywhere in the world. And the uniqueness of Iceland's landscape, I mean, where else are you going to find major glaciers of ice, black sand beaches, you know, craters, volcanoes? I mean, it's just literally like everything you could ever dream of seeing landscape-wise all in one place, like the hills, the mountains, you know, the lava fields, the wildlife. Like, you just can't imagine anything else like Iceland. The 11th thing that you should know before you come to Iceland is that waterfalls in Iceland are extremely beautiful and they're extremely plentiful. Now, the three big falls that everyone talks about is Gouda Falls, Skoga Falls, and Cellulent Falls. However, there are waterfalls all over. There are a lot of beautiful waterfalls that are located in areas where you'll have to have a certain type of vehicle to get to. Certain places you can't go to on a tour, so you don't get to see them all. But there's literally beautiful waterfalls all over this country. And if you have the right vehicle, a 4x4, and you could really go and explore the country, you could really find a lot of secret waterfalls. And I'm hoping one day I can do a trip here where I can get maybe a 4x4 as a rental, and maybe I can explore and find some of these secret waterfalls. But you can just drive along sometimes even on a bus tour. We rode along and you would look to your left and you would look to your right and you would just see all types of beautiful waterfalls just in the side of a mountain somewhere. So if you love waterfalls, there's nowhere like Iceland to go chasing waterfalls. The 12th thing you should know before you come to Iceland is there's not a lot of hotels in Iceland. Reykjavik's the capital city, so you can find a few hotels here and there, but if you go outside of Reykjavik, there's not a whole lot of hotels, mostly guest houses. Now, I stayed in a hostel, and I really enjoyed my Galaxy Pod hostel because sleeping in a pod, you know, you have a little bit of privacy, a little extra room where there's no one around to bother you, and you know, you don't really get to hear all of the snoring that you would if you were sitting out in a hostel out in the open. But definitely, you're going to be staying in guest houses or apartments or hostels. The 13th thing that you should know before you travel to Iceland is you should know about the volcano, that so many people travel to Iceland to see the active volcano. Well, the thing that you should know about the active volcano is it's not always active. It goes dormant quite often, and it's a pretty long hike. I've been told that it's about a 5-mile hike total, so you need to make sure that you're physically fit to make this hike, and you also need to make sure, if you do make this hike, that hopefully it's going to be active, so you need to track it as you go. And much like the active volcano, you also have to hike about 2 miles for the famous plane crash that you always see. The 14th thing that you should know before you come to Iceland is you may be going to Iceland to see the northern lights. You need to know you need to go during the winter. I would start late fall, maybe September. And if the cloud cover is too much, then you won't get a chance to see the northern lights. But definitely you want to go during the winter to see them, not during the summer when it's daylight all the time. And the 15th and last thing that you should know before you come to Iceland is you don't need to take out a whole lot of cash because credit cards are very widely accepted. I didn't use my American Express, but I was told by other people that American Express is also accepted. So credit cards are widely accepted. You don't need to bring a whole lot of cash to Iceland, but you may want to bring a little something extra if you want to tip your guides and things like that. And tips are also not required as a bonus tip, but if you want to tip your guide or do something like that, you can, but cash is not really a necessary thing in Iceland, so you can go without going to the ATM for cash. That's all, folks. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, I ask that you please hit the like, please hit the subscribe button, please hit the bell notification so you can know when I have more material coming out in the future. Help us to continue to grow as a travel community. And as always, remember, live today, grow today, tomorrow's never guaranteed. Peace!